So here's somebody who wasn't at that $25 million fundraiser with Stephen Colbert and Lizzo and Queen Latifah for Joe Biden. You know who it is? The U.S. State Department human rights officers had to resign in protest over Gaza. So there's a lot of internal dissent over him doing a genocide, turns out. The evidence speaks for itself. Here she is. Her name is Annelle Sheline, a State Department official, the latest to resign in protest against the U.S. support. Boy, it took her a while. But here we go. Here's what she said.
I hadn't initially planned to resign publicly. I hadn't been at state for very long, and I didn't think it would necessarily matter. But I decided to go public because when I started to tell colleagues that I was planning to resign over Gaza, so many people's response was, please speak out, please speak for us. At the end of the day, many people inside state know that this is a horrific policy and can't believe that the United States government is engaged in such actions that contravene American values so directly, but the leadership is not listening. The evidence speaks for itself. We've had, not only the ICJ's ruling, not only the UN Security Council ruling. Clearly, the administration is unwilling to admit to reality. And I just want to reiterate, I think this is not only obviously devastating for the lives of people in Gaza, but is doing incredible damage to America's standing on the international stage. It is incredibly demoralizing for people inside the State Department, many of whom believe very deeply in what America says it stands for. So I'm trying to speak on behalf of those many people who feel so betrayed by our government stance.
So there you go. Arnaud Bertrand tweets out, this U.S. official who just resigned from the State Department confirmed that the U.S. is aware of plenty of evidence that Israel was violating international law and that the Biden administration was violating U.S. law by continuing to supply weapons. So that you consider us a genociding rogue state. Hey, Arnaud, Israel supplied written assurances. Christ, what more do these people want? Israel gave you written assurances. Shiline's resignation followed another State Department official, Josh Paul, a director in the Bureau of Political Military Affairs, who resigned in October of last year, and Department of Education official Tariq Habash, a Palestinian-American and Biden political appointee who resigned in January. Speaking to Al Jazeera, Habash said Shiline's decision to leave underscored how the United States' standing both at home and abroad has diminished amid the war in Gaza. It's not surprising that Sheline felt like the only way that she can make an impact is by leaving, because in almost 6 months, we've seen no substantive change in policy, and our influence at the international stage seems to be disintegrating by the day. Shiline's departure came as the Biden administration has continued to pledge support for Israel, even while rhetorically warning Israel counterparts about an expected ground operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Oh, they're warning them. Oh, yeah. Right, we're going to support you, but you better not do that thing I know you're going to do, and you know we're not going to do anything about it while you do it. Earlier this week, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, she's fantastic. She warned of consequences if Israel launches a ground assault. Yeah, like consequences like you're going to lose the election. Mm-hmm. There's no consequences for Israel. Officials have so far refused to leverage aid. No kidding. A day after Harris's comments, the U.S. abstained from a UN Security Council vote calling for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza. That'll show you. We'll abstain. That's the equivalent of Pontius Pilate washing his hands. On Tuesday, go ahead, kill Jesus. On Tuesday, U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said the administration has received written assurances. They've gotten written assurances from Israel that U.S. weapons were not being used in violation of international human rights laws. They've got written assurances. They wrote them down. He said the State Department has so far found no evidence of violations, and it's not. They found no evidence. So again, the biggest liars in the world are the government. then the corporate media, and then a distant third are randos on social media. They have found no evidence of any Israeli violations. None. You mean, how about all the Israeli officials who go on TV and say, we're committing war crimes on purpose? Because that's what they say when they say we're starving them, we're turning off their water. Those are war crimes. They bombed every university. They bombed every hospital. Those are war crimes. Feds United for Peace, a group of anonymous federal employees across 27 government agencies who formed in opposition to the war, hailed Sheline as courageous, while adding her decision comes at a personal and real cost to her and is a loss of patriotic and deeply qualified employee for the Department of State. Wow, because these people won't quit their jobs, apparently. It's like, hey, she's going to pay the price. We're not going to. We're going to form an anonymous group. Profile and courage. Her departure speaks for itself and also reflects the outrage and demoralization felt by millions of Americans and thousands of federal government workers. Wouldn't it be something if thousands of federal workers just quit? Everything that you thought was wrong with Congress and Biden aiding Israel's genocide of Palestinians is validated in this revealing disclosure by Annelle Sheline. The U.S. is complicit and everyone in government knows it. Okay, you got a great government. So whenever they try to tell you that somehow Trump or somebody else is worse than them, they're lying. That's what lying politicians do. And that my favorite lie is they tell you that the reason why they don't like Donald Trump is because he's a liar. Hey, there's still tickets available in Stockholm, Oslo, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Cortland, New York, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Edmonton, Alberta, Vancouver, British Columbia, Denver, Ashland, Virginia, and Athens, Georgia. See you there.